Hey guys, all right. So I haven't been able to make too many videos this week. Just been a super busy week around here. But we had a pretty bearish week. So going into this week, if you remember, I actually was fairly bullish. I did have some expectations of upside, and until probably about Wednesday, it actually looked like we were going to get a potential breakout here. But we ended up actually getting a pretty nice sell-off going on here. So basically what ended up happening is we are basically just staying in about a month long, exactly 1 month actually. This is September 20th right here. We lost that support. We are just in a big old range right now. So basically our upside resistance is 435.97 and 436.41, and then our support was 421.44. But as you see, we closed below that demand, so we closed below this support. We're below the 200 EMA, so really our next downside target is 417.8, 414.5, and then maybe 410.1 if this sell-off continues. Now, when we go over to the weekly time frame, we did end up getting a new weekly supply. So that supply is right down here now at 431.51. And again, same thing here. We closed below our 427.51 demand. And I kind of had a little bit of a phantom possible channel using this October 2nd weekly and then our October 2022 candle. So we actually did break through that. So now really the only strong support line I have, this goes back to 2020 and the 2022 low. So again, I don't expect this to get there next week, but that would be a sell-off all the way down to about 400.1, 400.9 would get us under that support line. So from here on a weekly time frame, our weekly 8 and 20 EMA has crossed under. That has not happened in, as you see here, quite a long time. So what I'm looking for now is basically our next downside target is 411.26 and 415.82. We also have the weekly 100 EMA coming in right there around the same level at 414. Now we go over to futures here, same exact thing. We have our upside resistance at 44.10, and we did have 42.63 as our demand and support, but we closed below that. So that opens up the potential for 41.87, 41.56, and possibly 41.27. Now, same thing here on the weekly time frame. We got that new supply and on the weekly here, so that's a really nice weekly double top. Again, if you see here, we were looking pretty bullish. It looked like we were going to break out. Same thing, we broke through our potential bull channel here. So now, same thing, we have our longer term bear channel that goes back to June. We have a more aggressive one that's only started in July in the red here too. So again, same thing, that 2020, 2022 support line for next week is all the way down here at 40.41. So again, I don't expect to get there, but it's just showing that we are coming in on a pretty critical support line. So again, my target for next week would be 41.31 and 41.91. Going over to the Qs here, same thing. So I actually was looking for a closure under 354.14 today. We came super close at 354.6. We closed under the first demand, but we did not quite get through the second demand. So here on the Qs, the most important thing to note here is that we obviously are still in that overall red bear channel that dates back to June. So for here, if we can break through this double demand, then our target is going to be 347.5 and really the 200 EMA at 345. So we, again, finally lost the 100 EMA, and we have another candle below it now. So we're going to look for continuation, but I would not be surprised to see a back test of that 100 EMA. Going over to the weekly here in Q, same thing. We lost that bull channel. We did get a new weekly supply right here. So again, here we closed below our critical demand. So we had this basically range right here that's been holding since the second week of June until now. So now that we closed below that, it's going to open up a lot of downside potential. My first real downside potential target here is the weekly 50 EMA around 341. Going over to NQ daily here, same thing. We have a really nice sell-off starting here. We did get our close below the demand at 14,712 that I was looking for. So that opens up finally a potential retest of the 200 EMA. That's all the way down here about 14,321. And I do have another double demand down here at 14,282 and 14,313. Now on a weekly time frame, same thing here. We did break our supports here. Of course, we got our new supply just like on the other ones here. So again, that opens up with a closure below this double demand. And on this weekly here, I think this is even stronger of a breakdown. So, we had this double demand and that really went all the way back here to perfectly on June 12th. That week, we bounced off it. We had the support here. We double bottomed off it here in August. We wicked off of it 2 different times in September and then first week of October. And now we finally lost it. So that should open up a potential of some continuation to the downside here. Again, our target should be the weekly 50 EMA right around 14,107. Now, if we go over to the VIX here, VIX has kind of been telling our story. So again, we had gotten our new, and I'm going to kind of zoom out here just to kind of give you a perspective of where we're at. We kind of have a really massive cup and handle that's forming here. And I'm going to be curious if this plays out or not. But we had that 19.8 supply level, and that was our critical supply. That was our major level that we were waiting to get broken through. And up until this week on Thursday, every single time over the last 7 months that we touched that level, almost every single time the next day, SPY closed up on average 1% and the VIX closed down. But what ended up happening is we actually got a massive push through on Thursday. We had a pretty nice, almost 12% green day on the VIX. And then today, we actually got another continuation candle. So interesting about the VIX today is for most of the day, the VIX actually was red. It wasn't really until about power hour that we saw the VIX pump up, and at that time take the market a little bit lower with it. So basically what we're looking at here now is 22.65 is our next major supply. That's from back in those March during that bank run, and then we're going to be looking at 26.17. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to get up there. Next week does start earnings, and with earnings starting, that opens up a lot of potential. Tesla had a really, really bad earnings this week, and their earnings call was really terrible too. So if that is what happens with Microsoft and Google, which is on Tuesday, and then we have Meta on Wednesday, followed by Amazon on Thursday, if that is what continues to be the trend, I would call it, then most likely we are going to see tech have a pretty strong leg down. And when we get that strong leg down, that is going to be incredibly bearish for the rest of the market. And if we get those bad earnings calls, and especially forward guidance, then most likely that's going to continue to push the VIX up, as there's going to be a lot more fear, with the recession and everything else going into next year. And then, of course, once earnings is over next week, we're going to go ahead and hit right up with FOMOC the week right after that. So we got quite a few busy 2 weeks coming up here with earnings and then FOMOC. So overall, though, I hope you guys had a good week trading. I'll try to do better about getting some videos up next week. It was just a super busy week for us here, so.